Alright, so now let's take a look at the settings menu, and the setting menu are these 4 yellow tabs here. So on the settings menu, you have select folder. So basically it's the folder manager. You can select the folder you want to be actively using and you can create a new folder. And of course we have file numbering. So there's continuous auto reset and manual reset. So continuous, it keeps jumping from 0001 all the way to 9999, and after 9999 it resets back to 0001. So auto reset, basically the file numbering resets back to 0001 every time you replace the card, so that's auto reset. And manual reset, basically you select this to manually reset the file numbering. And we have auto rotate, so it auto rotates on the camera and on the PC. As well, this one it only rotates on the PC and you can turn it entirely off. Format card, basically you format the card and you hit the trash button to toggle if low or not low level format. I usually do it on low level format. Auto power off, a self-explanatory. LCD brightness, basically you adjust the brightness of your LCD screen, and do note if you set it too high your battery will drain very quick. So if you want to preserve that battery life, keep it on the lower side. LCD on off button. Alright, so this is basically either you can have your LCD to always remain on, or you can configure it to the shutter button. Alright, so here's how it works. If I leave it on remains on, the LCD will always remain on. So what's the problem with this? That is, if the LCD is always on and I'm looking through the viewfinder, I might get a bit of glare from the LCD backlighting. So if I set it to shutter button, right, so here's what happens. The LCD screen is on, but whenever I press the shutter button, the LCD will go off. So this is how it works. So basically when I'm taking an image, it will turn off the LCD screen since the EOS 70D has no proximity sensor, so it reduces glare. But most of the time, I would just recommend having the LCD screen permanently off and relying on the top LCD panel for information. Now apart from that, you can also set your date and time zone, and language and GPS device settings, which you must have a GPS device connected in order to access the settings. Video system, NTSC PAL, we've addressed this earlier. Feature guide, I recommend you to disable that, because if it's enabled, here's what happens. Every time I turn the mode dial, it'll give me these. So basically these are a brief description of what each mode is. So it's a little annoying every time you change modes, so I recommend leaving it off. Alright, touch control. On the EOS 70D you can set your touch control to standard, sensitive, or disable. Now disable, basically you disable the entire touchscreen, so it's as if you have no touchscreen, so you have to use your multi-controller dials. Standard means standard touch settings, but the interesting is sensitive. You can set it to a sensitive mode whereby the touchscreen is even sensitive when you're wearing gloves. So it's very sensitive. So you might have a risk of accidental triggering, but still it's a nice feature to have. Let's say you're shooting in the winter and you're wearing gloves, so sensitive, you can still operate the touchscreen through gloves. Info button display options, basically you can tick and untick these. Basically these affect the cycle of which the LCD responds to the press of the info button. So you can disable a screen through this setting. Wi-Fi, we'll have a chapter incoming on Wi-Fi, so stay tuned, just entirely on Wi-Fi. And also on the last tab we have sensor cleaning. So you can toggle enable or disable auto cleaning. So basically it will clean the sensor every time you switch the camera off or when you switch the camera on. So you can also clean now, so it will initiate sensor cleaning manually. So that's just cleaning the sensor. You can also clean manually. So what clean manually does is it flips everything out of the way, exposing the CMOS sensor. So if you want to clean the sensor manually, like actually clean it manually, you go here. Alright, the battery level is too low, can't clean the sensor. So I'll put in a fresh battery. Now, yes, you do have to make sure you have a healthy battery if you want to clean the sensor, because it will expose the inner parts of the camera. So the last thing you want is your battery running out when you're halfway cleaning the sensor. So that is why it prevents you from cleaning the sensor if your battery level is too low. So that's actually a safety feature. Alright, so now I can clean manually. Alright, so there it is. It's exposing the CMOS sensor, as you can see. So I can clean my sensor manually, and when I'm done cleaning, I just flick the switch to off. And that will close the mirror and the shutter. So now I can reattach my lens. Moving on, we have battery info. So the EOS 70D supports LPE6 batteries, which are quite smart. So you can see the remaining capacity of the battery. So I just putting a new fresh battery, so it's now at 100%. And shutter count is how many pictures you have taken with this battery in. And recharge performance, it's all green. That means my battery is still very good. So if it shows up in yellow or red color, that means your battery has reached pretty much halfway or near the end of its lifetime, and you should probably get a new battery. You can also register your battery info. So basically through this, you can see your battery serial number and the last known percentage of the power it has. Certification logo display, that just displays the certification logo, nothing much. And you have custom shooting mode, C mode, and we do have an entire topic on this, so we'll get back to this some other time. Clear all camera settings, basically it restores factory settings. Copyright information, so you can display your copyright info, you can enter the author's name, takes a while to save. You can preview your copyright details, and you can clear the copyright information. So this copyright data will be embedded in your image's metadata when you take an image. Now, firmware version, this basically displays the version of the firmware you have, and to update the firmware, you basically press set on this and you put in a memory card containing the new firmware, and it will automatically update.